Hi guys and welcome back to IMCAS. I'm here back with the English content because I want to reach each and every one of you. So if you were following me in Italian, please excuse me, but I think it's as good to look at as the Italian. With that said, in this video I want to bring you with me around an experience that was kind of a blast. I spent a whole week around Geneva and Switzerland for various different reasons, the first of which was J'aime Genève, that I was invited to for the first time, and I am going to bring you around what is an almost perfect week in Switzerland. So buckle up and watch the full video to learn a lot that you didn't know before. I spent a lot of time in Geneva because in May we have many different things. So first of all, we had J'aime Genève, which is a gems and jewelry fair, but filled with beautiful watches and interesting cultural events. And not only that, we had the watch auctions of vintage watches for sure, which is something I attend every year because it's kind of unmissable. We had other experiences such as manufacturer visits, etc. So I tried to do what I could to stay as long as I could in Geneva and to document the overall experience. But let's start super quick. I arrived on a beautiful Tuesday morning in Geneva because I was invited by Donatella Zappieri and the whole equipe of J'aime Genève to witness what it is in first person. And the funniest part is the fact that it was both the J'aime Genève fair and the Geneva tourism ministry that invited us. So the first day was dedicated to the culture of Geneva, and in specific we just arrived in Geneva. We had a beautiful train ride, which if you ever had it is really nice. You pass by lakes, is really interesting and relaxing somehow. And we landed in Geneva where we visited the Ministry of Tourism, which was super interesting because I always hear about them but I never really get in touch with them, and with what I do with the Casa events, etc., it's something worth knowing. Plus then I had the chance to do for the first time chocolate by myself. First we had lunch at Ottolenghi, which is placed in the Mandarin Oriental. It's a recently opened restaurant. It was very good. It's kind of a Lebanese cuisine, very curated with amazing flavors and research on the plates. And then they accompanied us at La Bonbonnière. La Bonbonnière is an amazing, really amazing place where you can have the most famous hot chocolate in Geneva, but also you can do like a chocolate school. So they brought us in, they made us taste a bit of everything. What is super interesting as well about La Bonbonnière is the fact that it's in front of the Relais de l'Entrecote. Le Relais de l'Entrecote is a super famous restaurant in Geneva I go to very often, and it's really, a place where people go to. So knowing that there is a beautiful and very tasty chocolate shop in front of it is, a good addition to it. So we went inside, we had a booked tour and lesson, and we had a coach, kind of an instructor that tutored us around the world of chocolate, explaining us how chocolate is born somehow. So from the bean harvesting to the actual processing of chocolate, and then we had to do our own chocolate boxes with praline. Praline is basically almonds and chocolate mixed together, which is something that I very much enjoyed. So I decided to do my own box in, of course, milk, sugary chocolate because I prefer it, and to decorate it with a bit of ego for sure because that's who I am. And it turned out pretty well. We had a lot of fun. It's an activity I really suggest to couples or also groups of friends, and for team building, because you need to concentrate so much. It's something that really is beyond your expectations, trust me. And of course then you can eat all the chocolate that's left over from the experience, which I did, and of course also your box and your praline. And the final result was something I was pretty happy with, and it was fun. And then we had just a cocktail with all the Italian team. We were all together with Donatella and the rest of them, plus all the journalists from around the world. We were at a beautiful hotel kind of outside Geneva near Palexpo, which was a good experience. A nice hotel with great breakfast, great room, and of course, after all our experiences, we were given so many gifts. Like the Geneva Tourism gift us a bag with postcards, with magnets, with a beautiful pen I have in my hand. I'm playing with it right now. Caran d'Ache, but personalized Geneva in pink. I really love it. And the book about the Geneva restaurants, which I was very much down to buy, so thank you for gifting me that. And other gifts all around from Gem Genève, etc. And then it comes day 2. Basically, day 2 was the first day of Gem Genève, close to public. We went there at around like 10:30 to explore a bit of the fair. What was interesting about this fair is the fact that it's in Palexpo, but Palexpo in a very different setup compared to Watches and Wonders. So it's the same venue, of course, with different maybe spaces. You know, the Gem Genève is way smaller than Palexpo's Watches and Wonders because it's a different vibe. And what's interesting is that basically it's dealers of stones and dealers of antique jewelry. But it's kind of a B2B event, so a trade show. So it's dealers selling to dealers, and the gem dealers selling also to big brands. You can find people from Chopard, from Bulgari, from Cartier going there to buy and pick up stones and, you know, also ideas, I would say, and all sort of things, because it's a very selected show. It's small, it's curated. You can find pieces of such an excellence. I was invited, you know, as a journalist not from the jewelry industry, which is very interesting because there were watches, especially watches from like the 20s and 30s, from Boucheron, from all such brands, Van Cleef, etc., very much related to jewelry. So something that is really a key to the present watchmaking world. I had the chance to discover all around. Of course, I checked out some stores, and you can see some footage about it, but what's special is that it's a very secret kind of show. It's a very private place. It's yes smaller and yes less fancy and less corporate compared to Watches and Wonders, but at the same time, trust me, the monetary amount in the fair is way huger than watchmaking. And what's interesting is that most stands were not supposed to be pictured anyhow. So there were really like signs with no photos, no videos, etc., because it's a very as I said, it's a very private place, it's a very private environment, and it's something that they want to preserve somehow. But the fair overall was very nice. I met again, like I saw again, my friends from Ultraco. You can find a very beautiful video here, and we had fun. They brought, of course, some of the most beautiful watches. You have also to know that since there is also the Watches and Wonders there, they're not really allowed to bring, like, they cannot do a watch stand overall. Like, the booth cannot just be about watches for a simple reason of non-compete. But that said, I found many watches very interesting. So we had an amazing tour of the fair. I had the possibility to meet up and to see again friends such as Laura Inghirami, who showed me around her beautiful exposition about young artisans. You can also find content on Laura's profile about it. I saw Kira Kirby for the first time, an American influencer about jewelry, that showed me a beautiful black ring with a diamond, which I really see on myself, which is a problem because, again, now I'm passionate about jewelry. Now I want to buy jewelry. This is worse than watches, trust me. It's way more money to put into, but honestly, there's a lot of value, there's a lot of potential, and there's a lot of pleasure in collecting jewelry, because you have all the design elements, language, all that in a jewel, not in a watch, but still it's very enjoyable. I met a lot of people. I enjoyed the fair so much. I also saw Champagne Gem, the amazing Champagne Gem. All of them, apart from Laura, who is still not in the club, were wearing their beautiful baignoire from Cartier, which is interesting because apparently jewelry influencers do like baignoire, which is something I live in the air because, you know, I think it's interesting. And with that said, the first day came more or less to an end. Donatella brought us around a few special booths, which we couldn't take pictures of. I want to thank her so much because she really facilitated all my tour around Gem Genève and around Geneva, and the ministry as well made it amazingly fun. But Gem Genève was such an experience. We then had the cocktail at night where I also saw my friend Guy Goari, which was interesting because I was not expecting the guy there. And we ended the second day with just, you know, this dinner around the fair, which was very nice. They also had like panels, they had a bookshop, they had a lot of friends such as Custom & Colors and Matteo Staffaucher that were there to, you know, represent the artisanal side of the fair. They had many panels about interesting topics, honestly, like they work a lot with schools, with youth, with artisans, and it's interesting coming from a fair that basically sells used and vintage items to have this kind of attention and to forward thinking with everything that is the jewelry industry. So it's kind of an oxymoron if I think it from a watchmaking perspective, but it's like if the watchmaking vintage auctions would do stuff with the WOSTEP or the big watchmaking schools, and it's really, really impressive because I think it's the way they should do things, like to promote and to give voice and to give maybe even funds to something that can make this industry grow and last forever while you're selling used items. It's very nice, therefore congratulations Gem Genève for that. We went to bed, and the third day was as well as Gem Genève. We had a little tour. I had the possibility to see more and to say hello to everyone who was around. It was super interesting, and then it was the time for the auction. So the auctions in Geneva are basically for Antiquorum, Sotheby's, Christie's, and Phillips. Plus we had other ones all around, such as Future Grail. We had other ones around, such as Future Grail by my friend Ali, which is a blast and it's a super interesting one. But, you know, it's the time of the year, now in May and in November, where all the auction houses gather together with the best catalogs, with all the top lots, etc., and the people all around that make it special. So I had the possibility to start from Antiquorum, which was the auction house that had some of the most affordable yet interesting lots I could think of, and I did a lot of content about it. You can also find a link here and you can see all that in some of these pictures. They had amazing watches both in a pocket watch area, which is something of interest nowadays, especially for myself, because I think they're growing in interest. They had beautiful school pieces, they had beautiful Patek and shaped watches and creative watches, and of course, having a catalog of more than 800 pieces, they had a selection where everyone can find something, which is what I really like about them. That said, the whole weekend was played a bit around that concept, because I like to just go around and enjoy. I had the chance to have dinner at Les Relais de l'Entrecote with friends. I had the chance to have lunch in the sun, to have tea. But you know, it's not something I take a lot of videos about. Of course, I did all the previews, Sotheby's, Prestige, Antiquorum, Phillips, everyone. But you're not gonna find that much footage all around. But just be sure that it was indeed a blast. There were pretty cool watches. My favorite watches of the auction were for sure a Audemars Piguet Perpetual Calendar Mint repeater in a cushion shape that was amazing from Christie's. I saw a lot of beautiful lots at Antiquorum, but maybe my favorite was, I would say for sure, the Chopard big bracelet with the opal dial, which to me opal is the most undervalued of stones. And for sure, I would say that every one of the auction houses had beautiful lots, and it's very hard for me to choose. Then I had the possibility to go to an event by Piaget and Heist Out on the 9th, which was a very curated experience, a very true experience. So we went to a winery not far from Geneva, where we had the possibility of eating what is the typical sausage from La Val des Travers. La Val des Travers is where the first manufacture of Piaget was created. La Côte-aux-Fées is the specific village, and since we didn't have time to go to La Côte-aux-Fées came to us. We had a beautiful experience, very calm, very relaxing in this winery, eating outside with the sun, with a lot of friends, with Auro, with Mr. A, with Jojo, Arturo Duro, all the Sceni boys, and not only. And I finally was able to enjoy some of the watches from the Piaget Patrimony, but also to get a bit more in touch with the Swiss culture. Honestly, guys, congrats to High Stout's crew, to Lorenzo Maxime, and to all the team, to Scarlett, to everyone involved, Remy, because they really created a truthful experience, an experience that was very nice to attend. And we saw amazing watches. The 2 dices from the Piaget archive were amazing. The piano watch, something really for everyone. But the lunch was the total blast. And on the 9th at night, I also had the typical and usual casa dinner. We had it as last time at Luigia. We have been a solid like 60 people, 55. I don't really remember the exact number, but we have been so many. We had pizzas, we had a blast, we had friends, we had really an enjoyable experience altogether. We had good food, good chats, and great watches. As you can see from the picture, I am eating a Tourbillon François Paul Journe, which already is something. And if you look at the table, you can see there's pretty cool stuff laying around. So I'm really happy about how the dinner turned out. I want to thank each and every one of the participants for the support, for coming over. Really thank you, because I would not be the I Am Casa I am without you, and the community would never be the same without you. And thanks to Luigia, thanks to Santiago, thanks to Rosario, and all the people that helped me organize all this and made it possible. It was a fun night. I was super tired, but it was still not time to go away. Well, now we're talking about the night of the 9th of May. I'm sorry the video is coming out pretty late, but I still had a couple things to do to, complete the experience. So I had the weekend very chill around Geneva. I had the possibility to enjoy some of the most important auction houses, the auctions themselves. I met the amazing Laura Di Calogero. We had content together. I went to the Banc des Paquis to have a bath, because come on, bathing in the lake with that sun is amazing. The weather unfortunately was not really summery, but still I managed to make the best out of it, and I was very happy. But then on Monday I embarked in a beautiful journey in the Piaget Manufacture. I'm gonna leave you a few clips, but I'm not gonna explain you anything about it, because we have a full video coming out in very few weeks. So stay tuned, go watch the video as soon as it's out. And then it was time for Tuesday. On Tuesday I had beautiful experiences, because they recently opened Coffee Up in Geneva, which is a very cool bar owned by friends, Kilian and Coco, who are amazing. They make amazing coffee, they make amazing matcha, they make a lot of good stuff, honestly. The place is super chill. I love going to them. I went to them, to work a bit, but also to have a portrait of myself by Mauro Carraro, who's painting in blue ink, who is Italian, who moved to Geneva. We had a lot in common. So there is also a video about this experience coming soon, and you can find it on Mauro's social media. And I'm very happy about the portrait and how it turned out, because honestly it's something I was down to. He interviewed me during the experience, and I could see how he sketches everything. We did it there, we did it with Parmigiani Fleurier, which was a very nice experience, and I finally saw someone portraying me for like 3 hours, and then I had a lunch, and then I had to leave for Montreux, which was one of the highlight experiences of my life, honestly. So it was Tuesday night, the 13th, And I was invited by the Hôtel Institut de Montreux, which is both a business school and a hotel school, we can say. They call it École Hôtelière in the French regions, which is a school that prepares you for the business purposes, you know, management, whatever, all that, marketing especially and all that, but also it gives you an experience in terms of how to do and manage hospitality, not an hotel, not a restaurant, but hospitality in general, which is a theme that gets in touch also with like what you get in a watch boutique, for example. So it's very interesting. I was invited by Ben Smith, who was an amazing person and who I want to publicly thank for that, whom I met at Geneva Watch Days thanks to other people, because I moderated a panel there, which I hopefully will be doing as well this September, so stay tuned and come over. And I moderated this panel talking about hospitality in the watchmaking business, and so who was better than Ben? But for this reason, I want to also thank Catherine and the whole team around Bulgari and the Geneva Watch Days for giving me this opportunity, and we forwarded it because I was invited to Montreux. I slept at the school, which was a blast, super nice. The school is an old hotel. They renovated it. It's a dormitory as well, so the students sleep there. Basically, they have every possible nationality, like there is an average of like not more than 2 students from the same nation around all the school. So really, let's say around 100 people, 50 different nationalities, which was incredible. I was there to, you know, show my experience and talk to the guys, and it turned out in a really curious and very fun way. So I was a bit burnt out on I didn't know really what I wanted to say, and so I just engaged the conversation. I explained my story a bit, I explained what I do, but the amazing part was like the students were few, but all very interested in what I was there to bring. They were all very focused, they were all full of questions, and I think I learned more from them than they did from me, and it was incredible. A, Montreux is a beautiful town. B, the weather is incredible. C, the school is aesthetically pleasing very much. D, they gave me an amazing room. And E, the students themselves are amazing, and the teachers as well, and the whole vibe of the place is beyond that world, and they're very lucky to study there. I really envy them, and if I could go back, I would go to study there, honestly. It's an incredible place. I had an amazing experience there. I kept in touch with the professors and the students, and honestly, I'm very happy. So thank you, Ben, and thanks to all the guys that were in the room. I love you so much. You gave me a lot. And that was the end of my trip, because at 6 a.m. the day after, I took a train and I went back to Milan. So I hope you enjoyed the whole experience. I'm sorry there were not that many watches to see, but I'm honestly a bit more focused on all the world around watchmaking than the watches themselves. But I'm waiting for your feedbacks in the comments to let me know what you want to see next. Let me know if you did enjoy the video. Please leave a like, follow me here and on every other social media. Respect all the people I mentioned in the video, because they're all very important, and please, if you meet them, spend time with them. Thank you for watching. Thanks to everyone who was involved in each and every one of my experiences, and see you next video.